Talk about low-budget flights, no food war movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So, everyone has done a video talking about Megatron and Transformers 1. And before I actually started to realize that, I had already made this. So I figured, you know what? I'm gonna actually make this. I'm gonna talk about it because everyone has different perspectives on things. Even if they're really similar, no two people have the exact same opinion on something. So, and since I love this movie and we're probably never going to get a sequel because Hasbro's no longer funding Transformers movies and this movie was a box office bomb, I figured why not just talk about this anyway? Who doesn't want to talk about Transformers 1? So, let's get started. Of course, the movie begins with D16 as before he used Megatron, he was D16 as just a minor. I already kind of talked about the Megatron in my review of Transformers 1 back when it came out, but this is going to be more detailed. So, I think one thing people have pointed out that I agree with that's very interesting is that the movie tries at the first glance it tries to frame it as Orion Pax was the selfish one, D16 was the selfless one, and then as the movie goes on, their roles switch. But in reality, no. D16 was always selfish, and Orion was always selfless. Because Orion isn't just getting D16 in all these crazy schemes, going to the surface, trying to find out the history of the Matrix and all that. He's not doing that because he's just ego-driven and wants to go on some crazy adventure. He's doing it because he knows that being a miner is awful, and that he wants to do more, be seen as more, to be seen as more than meets the eye. Well, D16 just wants to maintain his status quo that he may not like, but he thinks, well, I gotta do it. It's our jobs. We have no choice. We just have to pay our dues. But even though what Orion's doing is trying to get them out of paying their dues, D16 doesn't care. He just wants to be stuck in this awfulness forever. But of course, there's the whole mess with the Icon 5000 and everything, and eventually, they do get to the surface alongside Alita 1 and Bumblebee. I'm not going to call him B-127. And they, find Alpha Trion. And he reveals to them the truth of Cybertron's past. Which, Sentinel Prime, who D16 looked up to as their great leader of Cybertron, who's going to one day find the matrix of leadership and make Energon flow once more, is actually a psychotic, power-hungry killer. I don't think I'm ever gonna be seeing a movie in theaters again have the kind of surprise I did when I heard about Sentinel Prime's backstory in this movie. Because I know Sentinel Prime in every single continuity is always a jerk of some sort, but no, I did not expect him to be the villain. I thought the Quintessons to be the villain, or at least it would focus a lot on Megatron, but I also did not expect for his backstory to be he worked for the 13 Primes, and then he murdered all of them. And right in front of each other's eyes, betrayed them to the Quintessons, has basically been working for the Quintessons the entire time, and is stealing organs, essentially, from Cybertronians before they're born. So, of course, when D hears about this, he's understandably furious, and he gets the whole line everyone remembers about how he says, "No, I want to kill him! I want to wrap him in chains and bring him through the streets of Iacon." I love that line. I like this movie was just not afraid to just go dark. I mean, Transformers is at its best when it takes itself seriously, Certain episodes of Animated, Beast Wars, some of Prime. So, yeah. If he's the people who complain that D16 went evil too quickly, but I mean, think about it for a second. He was stuck in a job he hated. He made multiple aggressive comments toward Orion, might I add, like, hey, if you could transform into anything, what would you be? A shovel, then hit you on the head with it. And then he finds out the guy he looks up to is actually a psychopath and has been stealing people's organs, and he is understandably very upset about this. And it's not like Orion can talk to him about it because almost immediately after this, they're all captured by the High Guard where he comes across Starscream. This scene is one of the best in the entire movie. Perfect. So, of course, we get the whole bit about how Starscream agrees with our heroes that, yeah, Sentinel Prime is horrible and needs to be stopped. And the Quintessons are also pretty awful, except Starscream does not believe that Cybertron can be unified. As he says, the idea of a unified Cybertron is a myth. All that counts is the strength of one bot over another. And D16 is really mad at him because, after all, we just got the whole bit about his finding out the truth of his life and how awful everything is. And then he sees this guy who, as he tells him, you keep talking big about being a hero, or I guess, and stopping all our enemies, but you're just sitting on your throne playing king. And he says, you got anything to say to me? So then, he starts fighting him, beating him up, choking him, as Starscream yells, is that all you got, bot? And then D16's fusion cannon activates for the first time. And the High Guard all cheers him on for fulfilling their philosophy of the strength of one bot over another. And this is also when his eyes turn orange. And yeah, this whole scene's done super well. See them all chanting, D16! D16! As you can just see Orion, Elita, and B's horrified faces at D16 having unleashed a cannon and about to shoot a guy in the head. I mean, he is able to be calmed down, but things escalate even more from there because him, B, and half the High Guard, including Starscream, are captured by Sentinel Prime. And he sees that he has that, Sentinel sees that D has that sticker of Megatronus Prime's face on his shoulder, and he says, oh, Megatronus Prime. He was the biggest, baddest, strongest Prime of them all. I can see why you'd want to wear his face over mine. He says this, right before. He says this after already having glowed in his face, telling B stuff like, down here, the truth is what I make it. And he says to D about the whole Megatronus Prime face, he says, well, let's make it official. And then he burns his face, the Decepticon logo, onto D's chest, and he is screaming in pain. And you see the burning fire of the Decepticon logo. Again, seeing that in theaters, just like so many other things, just great surprise, and also just super satisfying to see the slow transformation of D16 to Megatron. But eventually, he gets to the point where he cannot go back. Because even after Sentinel Prime has been exposed and defeated, and everyone has seen him for the fraud he really is, well, it's true that Sentinel kinda deserves to die. He doesn't really need to be killed anymore. What would that gain? He's defeated. He can't do anything anymore. But D is still obsessed with trying to kill him, as he pleads with Orion. He says, he deserves to die! Can't you see that? And you better move out of my way before I move you myself. And, as he's about to shoot Sentinel in the head, Orion gets in the way, and wow, he's messed up. And he is about to fall into a pit, but D is able to save him, but not before she says, why did you have to do that? And then the music starts to amp up, his eyes go red, and he says, I'm done saving you. And he drops Orion into the pit. As the dramatic music plays, there's a great slow motion sequence of him walking up to Sentinel Prime, while it's contrasted with Orion, going through his final transformation, becoming Optimus. But the scene, cinema. D16 goes up to Sentinel Prime and slowly tears him in half, removes his T-Cog as he shouts, the age of primes has ended! No more false prophets! Follow me and you will never again be deceived! Rise up! And they all start cheering for him again, as Alita and B are horrified. He puts the T-Cog and swaps the T-Cog with his own, as he goes through one more transformation and shouts, I am Megatron! Just great stuff. And, again, this is also contrasted with Orion Pax finally becoming Optimus Prime. And another scene this is probably one of the scenes for some reason, this is the one bit in the movie that probably sent chills down my spine when I saw it in theaters. When Starscream is standing with Shockwave and Soundwave and he shouts, all hail Megatron! This is the first time since animated, maybe, arguably Prime, I guess, where Megatron really feels like he's this big a deal. He isn't just some big blockbuster villain like in The Last Knight or Age of Extinction, and much as I liked him in Cyberverse, he didn't feel like a huge threat there, but here, no, no, no. This is his origin, so they really have to make him feel like he's the most dangerous guy you've ever seen. And even after he has his big fight with Optimus Prime, and he and the High God are banished from Iacon, we get the post-credit scene that I did not actually see in theaters, because I didn't know this movie would have a post-credit scene. So I just left, and then when I came home, I saw on YouTube there's a post-credit scene. Whoops! Oh, I really wish I got to see it. So, this might be my favorite scene in the movie. Okay, aside from maybe the whole Optimus and Megatron rise scene, but this is probably the second best, and it's the post-credit scene. The whole music is with Megatron's monologue as we see the Decepticon logo being branded on troop after troop after troop, and he talks about how they will no longer be deceived and that they are Decepticons, and to rise up! And there's that shot burned into my brain of Starstream, Shockwave, and Soundwave standing together with the Decepticon logo. And that's how the movie ends. Wow. So you may notice that I was mostly just describing plot bits, but I think it's just really interesting. Again, you get to see him go from a guy that, well, he's definitely, I guess, I mean, he's Orion Pax's friend. He's nice to him. He's a nice guy, I'd say, but you can see those little moments of aggression. You can see them build up more and more until he becomes a psychopath. He becomes the very thing he swore to destroy, because as I've heard before, if Megatron had his way in killing Sentinel Prime, he sure wouldn't be able to find the Matrix of Leadership, so what would he actually accomplish? Cybertron would still have to have miners. I mean, maybe he'd have them work less, but they kind of have to work a lot, because they need Energon. It'd basically just be one dictator swapped out for another. Nothing would change. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on D16's transformation into Megatron. Sadly, I don't think we're ever going to get a sequel, at least not anytime soon. Maybe we'll get a Legacy sequel someday. Like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, that'd be nice, but... Anyway, so, that's all I gotta say. Thank you for 300 subscribers. I'm very proud I've been able to make it to that milestone so quickly. I didn't think I'd be able to make it that far in this amount of time. I've been doing this channel for about 8 months now, so I'm very proud of how it's turned out. My 300 subscriber special will be another Transformers video, and it'll be something that I'm definitely very much looking forward to, but you're still gonna have to wait for that. So, that's all for now, and as always, keep on juicing.